everyone, welcome back. It's Angela again here today with part 2 of how to make an altered file folder. So if you're back here, thank you for taking part and following along. And as I said to you, I'm looking so forward to seeing what you create after following all these tutorials. So today we are going to finish off the front cover of our folder. And the last episode we completed the front section here, so that we are going to use today, and then I'm going to show you how I did all the other bits and pieces on here, as well as get our folder ready to use. So we're going to fold and bend and trim and whatever that as well, and get the papers onto the cover, etc. All right, so let's move on. I'm going to put this just to the side over here. And I'm wanting you to grab hold of your file folder. Now if I turn it like this so you can see properly, this is actually 9 inches that way wide and 11.5 inches long. Now you might have a longer one, you can trim that down or use it the size that, make it the size you want to use it. So you know, but for the purposes of what I've done, this is the folder that I have used for this project. So as I said, 9 that way, 11.5. If you want that in centimeters, we're talking about 23 centimeters by 29.5. So that's the size of the file folder that we're going to use. Now as far as, we're going to need to trim off a little bit. So what we would want to do first of all is open this up. Now I know you can't see really, so I'm going to try and do it in a different way so you can see. Now you get different file folders with tabs in different positions. Some have one there, some there, some there. That doesn't matter, we can work with that. But as far as the back page is concerned, well, the back part of it, I'm going to trim off that tab at the bottom there. So we are just going to line it up with our edge. Let's see if I can see that properly. And then we're just going to take, you can take your pencil, which is what I'll do, and we're going to just trim that off. Okay, so that has been removed, and now what we want to do is we want to measure 8.7 inches from the top down to a level over here. So it's just a case of measuring 8 3/4 inches, make a little mark there, and if I tell you what that is in centimeters, we are looking at 22.5 centimeters, 22.5. All right, so make a mark there, and do that on both sides. So we've got that over there. Let me just stick with one measurement here so I don't confuse myself. So I've got that over there, and then I'm going to do the same over here, and probably on the back as well, because we're going to make a score line, and that's why I'm getting you to do that. All right, so with my ruler, you can use your scoreboard if you've got one. You can use a butter knife and a ruler, or I'm going to use my bone folder here. So I'm just going to open this up and join up my dots. Well, let's just get this level here just in case I'm not joining up the dots, and then we want to just score a line here that is hopefully straight. We want to just do that straight across. All right, so you've got a score line there, so we can go and bend that bit over just like that. Just keep make sure if you match that and that edge there, that at least you know it's straight, because it might just be slightly out like that. And then same on the other side, match the middle, match the edge and just burnish that. Press it really hard. Okay, so that is going to be the size, except open that up again and now meet this edge with that edge. Alright, so we want to just need to bend it a bit because it's not going to go along one of the score lines that are already on that folder in my case. So I am just matching up the best I can here. I want it on that side, so it's just the tab that's going to be sticking out at the top. Hold that there and then just press the one side with your bone folder, or like that. I know I struggled with this a lot, and then eventually I held it, took my bone folder just to soften that a bit, and then I squashed it down. Okay, so you are effectively making another fold line along the spine, just so that you've got it even on both sides. Okay, and then when you're very happy, give it a good old burnish, so really bending this down like that. Okay, so there we got it. We've got that edge matched up together there, and these two edges matched, and the tab will stick out separately. Okay, so now open it up again, fold over your flap bit, okay, just like that. And now we have our actual base for our file folder. Now once you've stuck on your other pages and things, this is going to be better supported, and you won't be seeing any of those fold lines or anything. That's the original fold line there. Those are the other score marks. All right, so there we have it. Okay, so you now have an 8.7, 8 3/4 this way, and you have 9 inches across. Well, I think it's 8 point, just over 8.5 inches. Okay, and then this way, as I said, is 8 3/4. All right, so there we have it. That's the base for what we're going to use. Now what we need to do is we want to just cut the papers for the various sides here. So what I have done is we're going to use this particular paper from the kit. That's going to be the base for the back. That's going to be the back. So that's going to go, I had it like this. So I've got my torn edges on the side here, and it's just slightly too short with the width and that, but that's fine. If you want to, please go ahead and ink those if that's what you want to do, and that's going to be stuck onto the back like that. I'm going to use Mod Podge to do that. So that's what I'm going to do there, and I'll put Mod Podge over the top of this as well. All right, so that's the back cut part. Now as far as the inside is concerned, cut 2 of this paper. Both of these I cut at 8 and just over 8 1/4. So you want to match it on this side to the fold line that you've now made, and just short of the edge over there. And you can move it quite high because it will be going underneath your folder, which will flap, which will be stuck down. So you can ultimately have it like that. And you can see it's just a touch there before the fold, and the same on that side. So probably just move it over slightly like that, and you can stick that one down as well with Mod Podge, with glue, glue stick, glue, whatever you want. All right, distress your edges if you want to before. Now the key here is don't stick this one down. That one's going to be stuck down last after you've done everything on that side. Okay, so, and it looks exactly the same as that. And just so that you know, these are both exactly the same. In fact, all 4 of these are exactly the same size. And if I show you in inches, it is just short of 8.5 that I cut these out at. And the width is whatever width your paper is. Okay, so this one will not be stuck down. I do it at the end. This one you can stick down, that one's loose. The back one you can stick down, and the front one you can stick down. Now the front one is this page from the kit. I love this, it's beautiful. It's got lots of different fonts. It's a whole collage going on here, and that's what we're going to stick down on the front. Again, it's 8.5, and I position it sort of in between the two here, just like that. Okay, now what we're going to do before we stick anything down, this is optional, but it's what I'm going to do. So I'm just going to take these out for a minute and put that there. And before I stick this front one down, just turn this whole thing over like that, and get yourself some masking tape. So this is an inch wide masking tape, or 2.5 centimeters, and just to protect our spine here. And because I like this, because it's like a washi tape but stickier, and it also blends in with what we're doing, so you don't even see it. But this is the point where you want to put this in. So let's just find our center point here and run that straight down. Sorry for the noise, even the dog's looking at me. And grab your scissors, and we'll just cut that off. That's going to strengthen your spine. You can also use, if you want a more fabric look, you can use sports tape, sports strapping tape. And I did have some, and for the life of me, it's lost on the desk here somewhere. I thought I put it in where I put my masking tape, but it's not there. But sports tape gives you a bit of a fabric look, or even micropore. You can use that. The sports tape is cheaper, and you can distress on it as well. But masking tape is the cheapest, and it does the job. So once you've got your other two papers over, like, where's my actual fold line here? So once you've got your papers stuck over this like that, you're not even going to see this. It's going to just blend in. There you go. And you've sorted your spine. Okay, I don't want any, you can use calico or muslin or any other fabric you want, but I don't want it to come over the edge of my spine, because I've got decorative detail there, so you know, there's not really space. So that's why I've used this, the masking tape. And if you want to, you can do the same on the inside as well. So we can do that. We can stick that down over here, but that's going to give you a nice strengthened spine. And the thing I like about masking tape is it's very forgiving. So let's just stick that at the top there. I'm trying to find the middle point like that, and then we are just going to run that right down. And again, you're not going to see it with everything that's going to happen. Okay, so this is the easiest way to do it, and it's going to look after the center of your file folder. It's going to be really strengthened now. Okay, so that's all done, and I'm happy with that. And now what I did was, after you've inked up these pages here, these are the ones for the inside and the back, so I don't want that. But what I did here is just to ink up the edges, and I'm not going to do this, I'm just showing you. I've used Mod Podge, the matte one, and just take a brush and you just brush that all over either your page or your area, and you stick that down just like that. And then you do the same on the top. Nice even strokes, not too much, keep it flowing, and stick that on the top there. And there you will have a really well protected paper surface. Now do that for the front and the back. So you're going to put the daisy one, do exactly the same for the daisy one on the back as well. All right, So that's what we're going to do. I have done this just to save us time, so I'm going to show you what it looks like when I have completed that. So I did this already for you so that it would dry and I'll be able to show you. And you can see this is what the front looks like. You can see I distressed the edges like that. And then that is what the back looks like. Okay, so we've got it all sorted, and it does feel lovely. Alright, so I've just got a little bit of a spot here that's not quite stuck down, and that's fine. You can just take your glue and stick that down. You might have that, it does happen. Here's another little area. Okay, so we've got our areas all treated. Everything is perfect. And what we're going to do now is we are going to start working on this front area and decorate this up as we had done for the other. All right, so I do love touching something once it's dried with Mod Podge. Oops, sorry for banging that. Right, now what we want to do now is we are going to place this on here, but we've got a couple of things that need to go underneath that. So what I would suggest you do is, and I said to you yesterday to grab bits and pieces of lace and doilies and all sorts of pieces, is I've just cut out a piece of doily. So this is a white doily scrap that I've got, and I'm going to position that at the bottom here, just like that. So I'm going to bring it slightly over the base there, just a little bit. I don't want to exceed that line too much. So I'm going to put that piece over there. That's the neighbor's dog barking. Okay. Right, so don't go too far beyond, but that would be adequate. So that's what I've done. I've just got it a little bit away there. It doesn't really matter, but when I put this on, you can see that it's just coming up to a little bit away there. We're going to put 2 cards in there. So get yourself a piece of scrap doily or lace or anything you've got to hold of, and we are going to stick that down. So let's get out a fabric glue. And if any of you are in South Africa, can you please let me know what it is that you guys use as a fabric glue that's really reasonable instead of something like this? Because I've got a couple of ladies that are new to journaling, and I don't know what to recommend. I mean, when I read the price of this in South Africa as an importer, it was shocking. So if you are one of the ladies from there, please let me know so I can forward on that information. Right, so we are going to stick this down, and the way I do it is I hold it where I want it with my hand, and we just stick this, or we can just do this. So we're going to use our glue, and luckily this dries clear, so it's not too much of a problem. Just make sure that you don't get it onto your paper or anything, although most of this area will be covered up. You know, it's always a worry. And then I can stick down bits once I've got it where I want it. So as I said to you, I want it just slightly over there, and then I'm sort of just evening it out, and I can stretch it a little bit how I want to, and I can move it a little bit more that way. And once I've got most of it in place, then I can just lift this up and start sticking it down properly. Okay, I'm sure you all know how to do this. Okay, all right. So we want to get that all stuck down nicely. Just look for the various bits as you go. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Right. So we've got that down. And now what I'm going to do is I'm just taking a piece of normal lace, and I've cut a piece just to go over the edge here, and it's slightly higher than the end of the lace that I've just stuck down. I'm trying to just cover up the edge of the paper really. So I'm going to stick that down now as well. So same sort of way. just get some glue on there, and then I can see where I need to top it up once I've got it stuck down. So right, just want to make sure I get it on the edges on those lines there. And this is a very messy job, I will just tell you that, so get out your wet wipes. Okay, now here comes the bit where we want to stick down our main piece here. But before we do that, I just want to stick down a little piece of lace that I've got that looks like this with a, you saw me use it earlier over there, and I've just cut out a bigger piece, and I'm going to put that on the corner here of my file folder, and I'm just checking that it's where I want it, which is there at the bottom corner. So I'm going to stick that down before I tackle the rest of that piece. So grab a piece just for the corner, whatever you have, and it doesn't have to be something like this, it could be any scrap that you have at all, and I know we've all got plenty scraps. Right, so make sure you cover it with some fabric glue, and we will then just take that and stick that down in the corner just like that. So that's looking pretty good. Okay, now comes the exciting bit. We need to stick this down on that side and on that side, and we need to be quite thorough with the amount of glue. So I'm going to glue pretty much this much across the width there, about 1 inch, and about 1 inch on that side, and then I'm going to press it down. We're going to tuck 2 things on here, but I don't want to make it a thin little layer. I learned from the time before that that wasn't going to hold these 2 cards in the front very well. So I am using a good inch of glue there and a good inch of glue there, and that's going to really keep it stable on this page. So I'm holding it this side because this is the side I don't want to glue. I want to glue that side and that side. Okay, so let's do that quickly. And you can glue along this bit as well, just to make sure that that is going to stay in place too, and your daisy. And we're going to give it a good amount of glue here. Okay, and then as I said, a good amount of glue on this side too. There we go. Okay, so that's going to do the job really well. Okay, now we can turn that over, and I'm still using this fabric glue because some of it is going to stick onto fabric. Now, hold it where you don't have glue, and look how you want to position this. I had mine at an angle like that, and I'm pretty much think that that's where I'm going to put it. So I'm holding it down across the sides that we have glued, and you might need to do that for a few secs just so that you know it's going to stick down. In fact, you could even leave it and come back in a while, but this glue does set pretty quickly. It is fast working, so it should be all right for the most part. All right, just keep pressing it. I just keep pressing it in various parts just to make sure that in fact it is sticking as I want it, especially on the areas where it's a different height. It's sort of dropping a little bit from where the lace is. So just keep pressing it for a while. Okay, right. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to stick a little bit and do this little corner, this little area. So that's going to be our very next bit, and I've chosen a bit of lace that is in fact a different color. So we've got a bit of a beige lace going on here. I think that's the right way. I've taken, this is a antique piece of lace that I'm lucky enough to have. It's really pretty, and I just liked a bit of contrast. And I'm going to stick that just on the end like that. Before I do that, I've got this little bit of daisy that I got from Tina, and I don't know where she got it, but I've sewn 2 little buttons, 2 little yellow buttons on there. It's really perfect for this, and I'm just going to end up sticking that across there like that, and I had this just touching that there, so I'm just positioning things before I stick them down. And then I had a little seed bead that I'm just going to use and put on there as well. So you need a little bit of lace for that area. Didn't want it white again, I wanted some variation in color, and look for some kind of trim, possibly flowers, that you could use as well over there. All right, so I'm going to just move that one down. I'm going to pick this one up again, and I'm going to just put some more glue on here very quickly. I especially got out a new one of these so I didn't have to struggle with it on camera, because that can be so annoying as well. Okay, right, so we've got that done, and I do love this lace. Right, so this is going to go right over there, just like that. It's so pretty. And then we're going to take a little daisy flower trim, and we're going to put glue on that. I'm going to do it on the flowers, and then I'll come back to the other bit as well. And then I'm just going to stick that there, stick that there, and then we can do this bit as well. Okay, and just let it, I'm just letting mine touch on the other so it sort of brings it all together. Okay, so that's looking good. Okay, I think this is stuck really well now, so let's hope. Okay, so we've got that in place. And then what I did was I just took a ball pin and put a couple of seed beads. These are like very light lemon and green on here. This is just one of my little, me and my details. So what I wanted to do was move those to that side, so I can just thread this over. And these seed beads aren't the sharpest, are they? I mean, seed beads. These little bulb pins don't have the sharpest points, so I know it's quite a hassle to get it through things. But I did persevere. And eventually, I know from the last one, eventually it did go through, like it is here eventually. Right, so we can just close that up. Get my little thing in its rightful place, and then we can just move that down like that. There we go. So we've got our little corner over there. All right, so it's all coming together. That's looking really lovely. I'm quite happy with that. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you how to make this flower in a minute. I just want to put a couple of other little bits and bobs on before I get to the flowers. So I've got two little butterflies. I got them off Pinterest, and I'm gonna just, I've got a yellow one and a blue one. And what I wanted to do was just stick this one over here at the edge, and it's sort of like a little plaster to make sure that that lace doesn't come undone. And then I'm going to take this little blue one and I'm going to put it here. So we've got like 3 little butterflies flying over there. And I have inked them and everything already. So it's just a case of putting them on here. So that one's going to go right there. Okay, and while we're waiting for that, I'm going to just get my little pearls and my little pokey tool and a little bit of glue over there, and then we're going to just take a little pearl and put it on that one. There we go, a little pearl there and a little pearl over here, so that they all match. Okay, so we've got the little butterflies going around over there. Okay, so what else am I missing? We need to put our cards in, which we will do at the end. Everything else is looking fabulous. I'm quite happy with all of that. Yeah, so let's just leave that to dry nicely. I'm going to put that to the side, and I'm going to show you, we need to make one of these. All right, so you can see I've been making a few, and I'm going to explain what I've done here. So first of all, this one is made with ribbon. So I've taken, I think how many inches did I do there? 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 inches of ribbon, which is 15 mil, or just over half an inch in width. That was that one. But what works the best is actually the gingham fabric. So this is really soft and so easy to work with. I've just cut a piece here that is 6 inches or 15 centimeters, and again, this is 3/4 of an inch, or just short of 2 centimeters, 1 3/4 centimeters. Okay, so that's what you need. I'm going to show you quickly how to do it with this. The ribbon is nice to work with because it's a lovely finished edge, but it's very much more springy and not as pliable as the fabric. So that's why I was looking for different options. Now you'll need one of those, and you'll need a little button. Here's a really tiny button, and it's a 10 mil button. So 10 mils, or what is that? That's like a quarter, just about 1/3 of an inch really. Okay, so what I would suggest here is, I did try it with plain cotton earlier, but that's too fine, and I would actually recommend something a little bit thicker than that. So I've gone with my embroidery thread, and I've just pulled 3 strands of it here, and that is going to do the job for me. And why I say that is because when you make a knot with the plain cotton, it's not thick enough to withstand what you're going to need to do, and mine unraveled after I had done it, and I wasn't very impressed. So with the embroidery thread, you have a much better knot at the end. Okay, so get some thread on your needle, and what we're going to do is, and I'm just going to show you this a little bit, and then I'm going to speed this up. Go, don't do a stitch immediately there. Leave about 1/4 of an inch, and all you're going to do is you're going to run a little stitch by hand. You can do it on the machine if you want, but I was quite happy doing this by hand. I did do one on the machine, but I found it wasn't so great to cope with after I'd done that phase and wanted to do the rest of it. So yeah, I'm going to speed this up, and when I have pulled this all together, you will then be able to find out how I go about doing this. So we've got to the end of that, and we're going to just pull that through on our thread. Now this is when you need to tug a little bit, and why you need to make sure you have a decent knot on that end. So pull that quite tight, and we're going to then fan it out into a little flower, so into a little circle. Now you'll see we've got 2 areas here that we haven't stitched right from the edge. I said leave 1/4 of an inch. You want to marry up those 2 edges now, like that, and we want to just bring our needle through both of those sides, and we're just going to do a little running stitch along here just to join those 2 up. Okay, so let's just do that like that. Then we can turn it over. Oh, let's just do a little bit of a knot there, and then go back again if you need to, because you do need to get to the middle again. Right, so let's do that. That should have me back at the middle. Now you open that up and you've sewn that area closed like that, and just even out your little pleats like that. Okay, we can pull out all these little bits. It's nice when it gets a bit of a frayed edge, really. Okay, so you're in the middle now. We'll deal with all the threads in a bit. Okay, so keep pulling. You've pulled that pretty tight. You come to the middle now. Just get a hold of some fabric here, which is hard because there's not much of it there in the middle, and try and get a little bit from the other side, just to try and pull it a little bit closed, close it up a bit, sorry for my wording. Okay, so I'm just closing this a bit, otherwise when you sew the button on you won't have much to sew the button to. Okay, so oops, there we go. I'm quite happy with that at the moment. Right, so we're in the middle now. That's the wrong side, this is the right side. Just got my middle there like that. Now you're just going to sew on your buttons. Gosh, my hands are full of glue. I say that, but I do like peeling the glue off. And then we're just going to sew a button on. It's as easy as that. Just make sure when you sew the button you do grip some fabric, so that's what I will say. Otherwise you'll finish sewing the button and the button will have thread but it won't be attached. That's happened. That's definitely happened. You know, I wouldn't say these things if they hadn't already happened. Because that's how we live and learn, isn't it? So definitely living and learning, that's for sure. Okay, so these are cute little flowers and I love them in the gingham fabric. Okay, so let's get that sewn off. Put this into, this page made me this as a pin cushion when she was about 9 or 10, from one of her spare socks that she couldn't find. And look, she sewed this on because she wanted, it's not really very well done, but she thought I should put it on my wrist, bless her. So I can't part with it. Right, so we've got our little flower there, and that little flower you can now pull off some of the threads and make it a little bit more tatty like that, which is really pretty, and we can stick that onto our file folder now. So get our file folder back, let's move those out of the way, and we are now going to stick that on the end over there. So that's going to complete everything that we needed to do there. So now we can just give this a good glob of glue in the middle, and then, you know, fan it out, and then just stick that on the end here like that, and hold it down for a bit. Okay, right, there we go. There, how pretty is that? So I really like that. That's looking great. Now all that we need to do is put in our 2 cards there, and I have pre-made those, but just a few things I wanted to tell you. Right, so the first one is this image here, which is from the ephemera. And what I did was I put on some lace now, and I've backed it onto card. So my little suggestion here is, or tip, is stick the glue, use the glue to stick down your trim if you want to stick trim onto it before you put your backing card on. That way you hide the lace and it's still a card that you can write on. It just gives it a nice neat finish. So that's my tip for that one. And then on this one I did exactly the same. I cut out this image, which is also part of the kit. I sewed this and pleated it to this actual image just from there to there, you can't even see, before I put on the backing card. So at the back now, you can see there's nothing sticking through. It's lovely, neatly finished, because it's sandwiched in between these two layers here. Right, so then I've just put on a little scrap of lace, a little bit of some of this, what do you call it, the vine, and then I've just taken a vintage button and sewn that together there with a little bit of muslin cheesecloth thread there. That's what it is, and that's what that is there. Excuse my nails with all the glue. So all we're going to do now is we're going to slide this card behind here, and we're going to slide this card behind that one. Okay, so we just need to position them properly. So we've got that one there, and I might, yeah, this one behind, just like that, and this one a little bit more in. I think I had this one over, can't remember now. Okay, so there's our finished front. Simple as that. Now the only thing we haven't done is put an eyelet and the little charm on there, which looks like this, but that's part of another piece that I made, so that was like a byproduct, and I'll show you when we get to that point. Okay, so we will still do that. So there we go, there's our front completed, and I hope that you enjoy it. We've got everything on there that we needed for the front, and I really like how that's turned out again, so I'm happy with that. Okay, so let's get on to what we're going to do next week. So next week, listen to me, next time, it will be the very next day. Okay, so what we're going to do is, if I open this up again, we are going to make this booklet here, and I will talk you through really quickly how to make these envelopes, and I'm sure you know how to do that, so it's going to be a really quick talk, but we're going to focus on this project here. So that's what we're going to make next time. All right, so what you will need for that is a couple of book pages. I've used Edith Holden, you don't need to, but if you're looking for that particular page from Edith Holden there, that's page 76. All right, so that's that one. And then this was just one that had a pile of writing all over it. It didn't have it was just a plain page. So that's what we're going to do there. But if you don't have Edith Holden, any botanical book or any book at all is fine, any old book pages, and then we will talk through this. Okay, so for next week, what you're going to need is an envelope like this, and this is a 9-inch by just short of 6.5 inches, just short. Okay, so I do use this flap for what we need to do. That's going to be a tuck spot. So if you don't have something like this, you can make it up with normal paper. So don't stress too much about it. We could do that as well. So I'm going to use this envelope to make this booklet here. All right, so grab an envelope or make something that measures the 9-inch by just shy of 6.5, there or thereabouts, and that's what we're going to use. All right, so I'm going to just put this back in here. That's where we are at the moment with our file folder. So I hope that you've enjoyed that. We are now 2 in. As you can see, we've got 2 in process here. So I just want to say thank you everybody so much. I hope you've enjoyed this. I hope you are following along. I'm going to try and get these out as fast as possible, because I know how annoying it is when you want to finish something and you have to wait. So I'm trying to do them and get them done every single day. All right, so thank you for bearing with me. Have fun, and I'll see you in the very next episode, which will be really soon. Bye-bye.